On a tranquil Friday evening, I was sprawled across the couch, idly scrolling through my phone when Emily entered the room, her face strikingly pale. She was never one to mask her emotions, so her troubled look immediately seized my attention. As my dearest friend and the love of my life, seeing her in such distress sent a chill down my spine. I knew instantly that something was profoundly amiss. I initially suspected that her demanding job was to blame. Emily had been juggling a relentless schedule, filled with endless meetings, pressing deadlines, and office politics. But as I looked up and noticed her staring at the floor, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her cardigan, I understood this wasn't just work-related stress. "Emily," I said, striving to keep my voice steady despite the growing anxiety within me. "What's the matter?" She hesitated, then sank onto the sofa beside me. Her eyes were bloodshot, as though sleep had evaded her for days, and her lips trembled as she began to speak. "I need to tell you something," she whispered, her voice so faint it barely carried across the space between us. "I don't know how to say this, but you deserve to know the truth." My heart plummeted, and I steeled myself for something devastating. Was she leaving me? Had she been hiding something I'd never suspected? "I've betrayed you," she admitted, her words cutting through the silence like a knife. I stared at her, my mind grappling to process the confession. Betrayed? The word didn't make sense. Emily was the one person I trusted above all else. How could this be true? My thoughts raced, but one question screamed louder than the others. "Why?" "It's something everyone seems to do," she said, her voice thick with guilt. "And I got caught up in it too." Her words hit me like a physical blow, stealing my breath. Everyone. I had always believed in the unshakable strength of our relationship, our mutual devotion. To hear that she thought betrayal was commonplace, that her colleagues were engaging in the same behavior, was beyond comprehension. "I didn't plan for it to happen," she went on, her voice cracking. "It started with innocent compliments, the thrill of attention, the pressure of fitting in. Before I realized it, I was pulled in too far. It wasn't just one person, it was like an accepted norm at work. I fell into it." My chest tightened as her confession unraveled. This wasn't a single mistake, it was a repeated violation of our trust. Worse still, it was tied to a toxic environment at her workplace, where infidelity wasn't just overlooked, it was practically endorsed. "What do you mean by everyone does it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper as the gravity of her words pressed down on me. "It's just the way things work there," she replied, tears now cascading down her face. "No one says it outright, but it's like an unspoken agreement. People flirt, they have affairs, they betray those they love. It's part of the culture there. I got swept up in it, and I never wanted to hurt you, but I did." The room felt stifling, as if the walls were closing in around me. I had known that workplaces could foster complicated dynamics, but this was something far darker, a corrosive atmosphere that thrived on deceit and secrecy. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I murmured, my voice fragile with pain. She shook her head, her eyes brimming with regret. "I didn't know how to face you. I was so ashamed, terrified you'd hate me. But I couldn't keep deceiving you. You deserve honesty." The silence that followed was deafening. My mind churned, and it felt as though the air had been sucked from the room. I had placed complete faith in her, in the life we'd built together. Now everything was thrown into question. Our trust, our love, our shared future. It all seemed to crumble in an instant. Looking at her, I found myself speechless. The pain of her betrayal cut deeper than I could have ever anticipated. It wasn't just the act of infidelity itself. It was the tangle of lies, the hidden truths, the realization that our entire relationship had been standing on unstable ground. The woman I'd shared my life with, the one I thought I knew completely, had been living a double life, enabled by a workplace that normalized disloyalty. As I sat there, staring at her, I saw the anguish in her eyes, guilt, self-loathing, a desperate hope for forgiveness. But in that moment, I couldn't see a way to move forward. I didn't know how to forgive her. In the days that followed, the atmosphere between us grew heavy with tension. We attempted to talk, but each conversation only deepened the divide between us. The trust we'd once cherished was shattered, and no amount of discussion could repair it. I was faced with an agonizing decision. Could I find it in myself to forgive her? Could we rebuild something from the wreckage? Or was it better to let go and start over? The most painful realization wasn't even the affair itself. It was the devastating truth that our marriage had been built on a fragile foundation. As much as I longed to preserve our family, I wasn't sure I could ever trust her again. After countless sleepless nights and heart-wrenching conversations, I reached a decision. I couldn't live in the shadow of her betrayal. For my own peace of mind and for the sake of my future, I chose to walk away. It wasn't a decision I wanted to make. I had no desire to abandon the life we'd created together. But I came to understand that love and trust are intertwined, and without trust, there was nothing left to cling to. In the months that followed, Emily and I took time apart to reflect on our lives. The pain of her betrayal lingered like a wound that refused to heal. But gradually, I began to find my footing again. I learned that sometimes walking away is the only way to move forward. I wish things could have turned out differently, that we could have mended what was broken. But in the end, I realized that some things cannot be repaired. You can only learn from them and summon the strength to rebuild.